Hi everyone, it's Natalia, and normally I like making nails for my friends, but as you can see, my nails are currently naked, so I'm going to be making nails for myself, but they will be about something my friend has done, which is publish a new book. So I'm making some nails to celebrate her new book. They're going to be a little complicated, so let's get started. So my friend Irene published a new book, Irene Tay. The link will be in the description, but it's a K-pop romance book that is set around a family that owns a Waffle House. So I'm going to be using the Mayo Butter collection, and this is my basic idea, which is sort of like breakfast and brunch type situation. So like eating waffles and reading a book. So I'm going to put like breakfast foods. I'm going to have the Waffle Nail. A little croissant. I'm going to put, the book and stuff. I made a decal of the cover, little jammy toast. I'm going to try to make them super cute on like a plaid background. I have a bunch of these molds that I've collected over the time. We have like a little cup. So I'm basing a lot of the breakfast stuff off of these little cup croissant here. I have a bunch of like utensils on this one. Also, this one has like a little tiny little waffle shape. I'm going to be using that. And I have this huge one that's of strawberries and durian. But I'm only going to be using strawberries for today. So I'm going to make a little jam jar. I think these are going to be super cute, but complicated. I'm going to be using some medium coffins for these tips. For these particular nails. And right now I'm just sizing them out. I've never actually used this particular brand of medium coffins on myself, though I'm just making sure that they fit sidewall to sidewall. This particular brand is just from AliExpress. If I'm making them for, friends or not just like testing out things, I will use sort of a higher quality nail. But for me, I don't really care. So the medium coffins will work for fine. If a nail is sort of like pinching or doesn't fit your cuticle, this is the time when you're sizing them out to round it out to your cuticles. You want to, personalize these to the shape of your nail so that they look perfect when you put them on. If they are pinching slightly, but they seem like they fit sidewall to sidewall, go up a size and shave it down with a file, or they will pop off. So right now, you gotta sand off the little plasticky nub at the end, make them nice and sharp, and then you want to buff up your nails because you want a nice matte surface that gel will easily stick to start. You can also get like chemical etchers or various things, but I find buffing just really quick and easy, and so that's what I'm doing. You just buff them up. And once you're done buffing, you can just wipe them down with some isopropyl alcohol, and you are ready to start making some press-on nails. But before you open any gel products, please wear gloves while doing this. You don't want to get allergies. All right, so we're going to start with the waffle nail, which is the thumb. And for that, we're going to use this bake scope from the Mayo Butter collection, which I'm obsessed with. It's number 4. I think it's called peanut butter. They're all like named after foods with the word butter. So there's just like the regular butter, and then there's like milk butter and strawberry butter. Like they're really cute. It's a really nice collection. The texture is like the gel is a sort of a thickish syrup gel. I find that the Mayo syrup gels, they're pretty tacky, but they self-level really nicely, and I'm really a fan of their collections. I got this at Sweetie Nail Supply. I've linked it down below, as I will link pretty much everything. If I have links for it, will be linked. So we're going to do 2 coats of this. Make sure to fully cure 60 seconds between each one. These do go on pretty sheer because they are syrup gels. So 2 coats, I think, are kind of almost the minimum, I would say, for these that you want to use. Once you've got that all nice and cured, pull out your thick 3D gel. I'm using the Jim Be Crazy Top here. And we're going to be making like the waffle cross hatching situation. So just take a glob on your brush, and then I'm going to do vertical lines, and then you're going to make the little squares to turn it into a little waffle. Now, I have like a new filming setup while doing this. So I did mess up quite a bit with sort of misjudging where the camera is. Like where I film is not a huge space. Like I'm in like a little corner where my nail desk is. And so I got like a new ring light, and then the camera gets like put in the middle. And I very much misjudged where I should be putting the nail while doing it. So I apologize in advance that I'm sometimes out of frame on this one, but I will improve for the next video. But as you can see, I'm just pulling up little globs and making little squares so that it forms the little waffle shape. And I'm going to do that all the way down each side and then in the middle as well. This was pretty easy to do. Sometimes like the 3D gel with the like the crazy top takes a little bit of practice, but this one was pretty simple. You just want to make sure that you're not, letting it like putting things too close together so that they start to blend together. And I'm just pulling it down the side to make sure that they look like little squares. And then you want a 60-second cure that. Now I'm going to go on top of that again with a third layer of the Mayo Butter 04. Just to make sure that the tops of them are also, they look like a unified color. Now, the gel will start to pool in the little squares. So what you want to do, which I will demonstrate in a second, is grab a, well, first I was like, oh, I can just scoop it out with a brush. No, this was a mistake. The easiest way to do this is to just grab a little makeup sponge and just dab in the little squares to soak up excess gel. Much quicker, works great. And as you'll see, I realize this right now, and yep, boop, boop. So I just use like a little dollar store makeup sponge that I've cut into a bunch of pieces for this sort of thing, and also for like my chrome and stuff. Just dab it into the little squares, it'll soak up any excess, and then you're still left with a nice defined waffle shape. And once you've got that the way you like it, stick it back into the light for a 60-second cure. So I wanted to sort of add like a little bit of shading so that it's more apparent that from like a distance that these are squares. So what I'm doing is I'm mixing some of the peanut butter from the Mayo collection with this dark brown from this ombre palette. And you can use any dark brown, or if you have the perfect shade of brown, that's even better. But I don't have many brown polishes because I don't use them that often. So I'm just mixing this up, and it's going to be like a sort of a chocolatey brown, and then I'm going to put little like corners in each of the little squares. But don't worry, it's not going to be this sharp, because that would be very sort of like a real cartoonish look to begin with. As you can see, I very much misjudged where I was filming. Yet again, I apologize, but I'm not doing anything particularly interesting. I'm just putting sort of little messy square highlights on the inner corner of these. And there I finally figured out, oh wait, completely off screen. Listen, these sorts of mistakes, don't they prove that you're human, right? So once you've got all of these in, again, with the little makeup sponge, you're going to go in and pat it. At first, I yet again was like, oh, I can do it with the brush. Just then realized this is stupid. I should just be using a makeup sponge. It'll be quicker. Natalia, it'll be quicker. I really valiantly went with the brush and then realized, no, this is just quicker. So just take a little corner of a makeup sponge and there you go. Look how much better and quicker that's going. So learn from my mistakes if you're making waffle nails. Just get your makeup sponges out. It'll make your life quicker and easier. So that's really defining the little corners to show that like the indents are a little more cooked, because that's how waffles do look. And then fully cure that. So next, I'm pulling out from last week's video the Jello number 33, the brown from the Mingo collection, because I thought it would work perfectly to be like maple syrup, and yeah, it definitely did. Now this is great because you can just put it on sort of messily, like you've poured a little, and it'll naturally pool in the little squares of the nails, which like it does in real life too. So just put it on where it looks good, and then sticker under the lamp. So now I'm using some 3D mold gel, they'll be linked below, to make these little strawberries. I'm making them in white. I had this idea that I would like use the red ombre, because like strawberries are usually like a little white at the top. It turned out okay, but I think if I did this again, I would just use red, save myself some time, because I don't think it looked nice enough to justify the extra ombreing that I did. But here I'm making a bunch of different strawberries, because I'm going to be using more strawberries on the rest of the nails. So I just made a whole bunch at once, because why, do double the work. This strawberry mold will also be posted. So you fully cure that. And right now I have this old nail stand that I don't use, that I put some double-sided tape on, that I'm going to put the little strawberries upon in order to ombre on the red. So you just pop them out of the mold and stick her on. So once you got those on, I'm going to be ombreing the red on, because this was my brilliant idea. It worked okay. I still had to go in with a brush at some point and like do some of the edges, but like this idea, it worked out fine. So I'm just dabbing off the excess and then just going to ombre from the bottom of the strawberries up towards the leaves. I feel like I should have gone a little higher on some of them too, but they turn out looking fine. Also, I think a smaller sponge would have worked a little better for the size of these strawberries for a successful look. But this did work, but it seems like I feel like I just did a bunch of extra work for no reason, because I should have just made them red to begin with. Because they're so small that it's like from a distance it really doesn't matter that I tried to make them more accurate to real strawberries. Anyway, you're gonna ombre all these. If you're doing all this step, that's what I'm doing, is that I'm just adding the red and then sticking them in to cure fully. And I did a couple coats of this, so just know that they got a couple coats, and then I also went back in with the brush to fix some edges. So cure those up. Right now I'm going to be adding in also the leaves, so I'm using this Yogurt Nail number 47, which is this really nice green color. And I'm just going in, as you can see, did not stay in frame. Again, all I'm doing is painting on little leaves, so it's not super exciting what you missed. But here, now I figured out, oh, whoops, I'm back. So I'm gonna figure out how to film things. Give me like another month and I'll be filming. I'll never be out of frame, you know what I mean? I found that like when you're making these for yourself, since they're viewed from, mostly people aren't really sticking them right up to your eyeballs, you don't have to be super specific. Just like in the general area will sell the illusion of strawberries. But the little molds do make it easy, because they do sort of differentiate what the strawberries are. So just be putting that green, or whatever green you use, to be the top of the strawberry, to really make it say, this is a strawberry. And once you're done, stick it in for the full cure. This is such a nice green. I really like the Yogurt Nail cream gels, like their grocery collection. It's it's a really nice collection. So now I'm just going in with some red to fill in some places that the ombre brush, like the ombre padding, missed. Not brush, but padding. And I'm just going in and adding a little bit of that red just to make sure that there's no glaring spots. And as you can see, went off camera as per usual. But that won't be the last time this video. I apologize again. But anyway, just fill in any like white gaps, just fill anything in so that you can look at these and say, yep, these are strawberries. And then once you're done, I apologize if you hear any banging or anything. So now we're going to be making like a little butter pat, which I'm using this Manja building gel in white. This is not my favorite 3D gel, but it's what I have at the moment because I was trying out a few different ones. And I'm just using the back of this plastic container that I keep sponges in. It was a container from buying photo cards, but you're just going to make like a little rounded square, like a little pat of butter, and you're just going to stick her on the nail, and then you're going to send her in for a full cure. If the stuff starts sticking to things, just hit it with a little bit of alcohol and it won't stick to anything. So cure that for 60 seconds, and then I'm taking out the Mayo Butter 01, the titular butter color, and I will be coloring the butter. It's a really nice, like, very buttery yellow color. I'm just doing one coat, and after that, sticking it in for another full cure. Finally, we're going to stick some strawberries on this nail. So grab your rhinestone glue. In my case, I'm still using the Gin P Crazy Top Thick. And just stick some strawberries on the waffle nail where you think they would look aesthetically pleasing. And then once you have them stuck where you like, stick it under the lamp for a full cure, and we are basically done this nail until it's time to top coat. So fully cure this nail, and we can move on. Once you got them looking good, the rest of that 60-second cure. So now we're going to be doing the base color for the rest of the nail. So I want this to look kind of like a plaid tablecloth sort of thing. So I'm using the Butter 05 from the Butter collection, which is like this really nice blue. These are very pastel and very sheer, so you definitely do need 2 coats. But I really love the Butter collection. Like, I totally recommend it. I think it's super great. So we're going to be putting your first coat of the light blue. Mind you, if you're making these nails, you can put whatever color you want for a tablecloth. Live your dreams. This collection just really, like, levels so nicely. Once you got that all nice and smooth, stick it under the lamp for a full cure. And then bring it out for a second coat. Because of like the lighting, it does kind of look white in this video, but it is like a very nice pastel blue, I promise. So once you got this second coat on nicely, you're going to yet again stick it under the lamp to cure. So now we're going to be making some plaid lines. So I'm starting with like a thicker white line. I'm just using my Nail and Yali palette, which I'll be using for all of the line colors. So I'm grabbing a check brush, and you're just going to be doing like 2 intersecting lines. I did them in various locations, make them a little different, have a little bit of visual interest. Super straight lines is not really my forte, but this is the sort of nail that it's like, this is really nice practice to try to get better at making straight lines. So I do recommend trying to make plaid nails if you want to work on, if you have, like me, have shaky little hands that you want to try to make slightly smoother lines for. So as you can see, I'm putting the vertical and the horizontal lines in different places on the nail and picking away cat hair. The nail palette that I'm using, it's like a very sticky consistency. Like I would say, like, the word dry isn't really the right expression, but like kind of what it is. So it stays where you put it, and it does like pull things with it. So you have to sort of be careful while using it to make sure that it doesn't drag away other lines that you're doing. But it does have beautiful coverage and work really well. Just gonna, and if you make a mistake, you just put a little bit of alcohol on a Q-tip and pull it away and continue on your day. Once you're good, stick it under the lamp for a full cure. So next I'm going to be using the light pink from the palette, because I wanted to keep this sort of pastel. And then I'm going to be doing the same thing, but with thin lines. So in various locations, put one thin pink line vertical and one thin line horizontal. Be careful when the lines like intersect that you're not dragging the gel away too much. But I make that sound like that is a really easy thing to do. It's not like it is, but it's not super worrisome. So just put wherever the spirit takes you is where you can put these lines. If you're making an exact copy of what I made. Ooh, these would make really nice. Like if you use like red, greens, and golds, these would be really nice Christmas nails, I think. But we're going pastel, sort of a spring look. So fully cure that, and then we're gonna do the same thing with some blue, but I'm gonna be putting down the center of the white lines with the blue. So wherever you put your thicker white lines, I'm just gonna be pulling the blue through both of them in a thin line. I'm actually also using the Mayo Korea short liner brush for this. It's a pretty nice brush. It's a little bit thicker than the Diami brush I normally use for line art, but it does work very well. So you're gonna do that on every single nail. Again, any mistakes you can just wipe away with some isopropyl alcohol on a Q-tip or a micro Q-tip, or even a cleanup brush, if that's more your jam. I'm a micro Q-tip girl. And then once you've got these lines done on every nail, stick it under the lamp for a full 60-second cure. Finally, using light green, I'm going to be adding just one horizontal line of the green. This is totally optional for the plaid nails. I just felt like integrating the green because I'm going to be using a green color later in the set, so I wanted it to be sort of reflected in the plaid. And once you got fully cure. So we got the plaid base, but we want it to be like a smoother situation. So taking a base coat, base gel, you're going to go over everything, which will smooth out any sort of bumps that are present in the line, and also make like a nice base layer for putting the 3D things upon. So we're going to be doing a lot of 3D charms for their breakfast nails. So put some base gel on, and then once you've got it nice and smooth, flip it upside down for like 10 seconds, and then cure it in the lamp for a nice full 60 seconds, so you have a nice smooth base to work on. Okay, so first we're going to make the book. So I made these decals. I put a link down below if you want to find out how I make decals myself. And basically I'm going to cut it out, but I'm going to save like the outside, like the silhouette of where the decal was, because I'm going to be using that as a size guide for making the book. So I'm taking some packing tape here because 3D gel does not stick to packing tape, so it's really good to use. So then I'm going to basically tape down this little outline of where I just cut the decal out of onto the bag of this plastic box. It's also packing tape really easy to remove from plastic boxes, which is great. So you're just going to tape it down, and this was sort of the easiest way I could think of to make a size gauge for how big to make this book. So I'm pulling out the white 3D gel. Again, this is not my favorite gel, but it worked fine, I guess. I think I want to pick up some more high quality stuff. This stuff sticks to everything, but you want like a glob of it. And then you're gonna stick it down in the center of this little outline. You can just draw an outline if you're making a little mini book. And then you're just gonna use some silicone tools to pat it into a rectangle shape. So I'm gonna be using this like flat-edged one. And then you're going to dip the silicone tool in some isopropyl alcohol, which will make your life easy because it will not stick to it. And just start patting away. And then once you've got it into like the basic rectangle shape, is when you're going to start sort of making it look more like a book. So basically, like, if you think about a book, it has like the hardcover around it, and then there's like a little gap between the edge of the hardcover and the pages. And there's also like a spine where the book opens. There's like a little spine ridge. So you're going to want to use your silicone tool to press in around the edges to leave like the lip of the hardcover and the pages. So it can be a little messy because it's going to be textured to look like pages anyway. And then you want to also use the edge of your silicone tool to make like a little spine ridge up one side so that there's like a little bend. I know you're asking yourself, is this absolutely necessary? No, but for some reason I did think it was. And it did turn out looking really cute and like a little book. So, you know, worked for me. And then once you're done, you're just going to stick it in for a full cure on one side, still stuck to the plastic box. Then pop it off, flip it over, and cure it from the other side for another 60 seconds, just to be sure that it is fully cured before you start on the next part. As you can see, I'm really dedicated to making this look as book-like as possible. And if you need to smooth anything out, just dip your tool in some alcohol. You can smooth pretty much anything out. Sort of like they do with when you're doing clay, it's the same thing. You can use rubbing alcohol to smooth fingerprints and stuff off of it. So sticking it for the double cure, and now we're going to be filing the edges, if any sort of rough edges when it came out, just to make sure it's nice and crisp. And then after wiping that off, we're going to dunk our little decal in just some room temperature water for like 5 to 10 seconds. It doesn't really take that long at all. Then you pull it out. I just sort of rested on my hand there for a second. And then it should pretty easily pull away from the backing. There we go. And then you're going to smooth it on to the front cover of your book. These have like, you have a few minutes to like work it. And you can, you can peel it up off of it if you like me have stuck it down in the wrong place, but just be very gentle when pulling it off. You're getting it into the right place, and then with your thumb just sort of like smooth it down into place over the edges. And you're going to take a file and you're going to try to file off any of the overhang that you can, but don't like stress out. This whole thing's going to be covered in gel anyway. So they're very delicate when you use these, so be very gentle with these. So right now I'm mixing up some of these two colors. The stickers that said what they were, like, got kind of mangled, but they're sort of like a light fuchsia and a dark purple. So I'm just mixing them up to match the cover of the book as best I can, because we're going to be painting around the spine of the book so that, you know, it matches. I wanted this to be very clear that this was a book when, like, you looked at it. You could be like, oh yeah, that's a little tiny book. So I would flash cure when I finished one edge before moving to the next one, just so I didn't smudge it. We're going to go over the bottom edge. And don't worry about this little overhang thing, because I'm also going to paint the pages white. Once you're happy, flash cure. And don't forget the bottom edge. And I also painted the bottom purple as well, just so that if there's a little thing that you can see from the edges, it's still covered. I'm now taking just the Born Pretty Pure White to do the pages. You can color any purple overhang here, or any book page overhang, to look like a little teeny book. And remember, once you're happy with something, just flash cure it before moving to the next one so it doesn't smudge between. And then fully cure that. Next, we're going to be making all the rest of the little charms. So using the 3D gel, I'm going to be making a little croissant in white. That's going to go on one nail. And I like to do these in layers, like curing between layers, just to be safe, so you don't have like a little prison of uncured gel if they're like a little bit of a thicker shape. And going again with more. And then I tried to get fancy with the little cup mold here by filling it. I had a little heart indent, so I did a little red heart. As you can see, this would have been the perfect strawberry color. I don't know why I didn't just use it. And as you can see, you can always flip over a mold to make sure it looks good from the other side before curing. And then I'm doing the cup in green because I said I wanted to bring that green color in. Once you're happy, give her a cure. Next, I'm going to be making some utensils. I'm sort of messily applying in some of this like sheer black gel. I will end up covering the utensils later, painting them silver. So you could use any color. And I'm just using a micro Q-tip to clear away any sort of overspill. And a regular Q-tip as well, which you can definitely do on these molds. It's very easy to do. And yeah, and then once you're happy with that shape, you just cure it. So we're going to be doing the croissant. I'm pulling that out, pulling the little mug out. And they look incredibly cute. The utensils came out. Since they were so thin, the utensils are very pliable, but that actually works in their favor for sticking them down on nails because you can bend them quite easily. Now I did make this cute little fork with the bow, but I didn't end up using it. I felt it didn't really fit with the set, but I did make it. And you can cut off any excess gel. So I have my little book, I have my little charms. So on the pinky nail, we're going to be putting this cup and the croissant. And as always, the rhinestone gel, we're going to be using the Gin Bee Crazy Top Thick because I still haven't bought some rhinestone gel. So we're going to grab the book first. This is going to go on the ring finger. Just stick it in, wipe off any excess, as you can see, just on the side of the thing. And you just stick it, I stick it at a little jaunty angle. And then you can move it around. And once you are happy with its placement, just give it a quick cure. I usually flash cure because I like to put a bunch of 3D gels on and then just stick all the nails in at once just to save time. But flash cure so it doesn't move while you do the rest. And then on the pinky, I'm going to be putting in the little cup near the tip of the pinky. And since I realized the book was too big to fit the croissant, because I, in the sketch, wanted to put the croissant on the ring finger, did not fit. So I moved it instead to the pinky. But we're going to put this spoon on the middle finger. These, like, they bent so easily, these little utensils from this mold, which I've linked the mold down below, but they conform very nicely to the nail. And right now I'm just using some silver gel. I'm using the Waffle Nails metallic silver, which I really quite like even for a like low budget option. And I'm just coloring over the utensil so that it looks like a metal utensil. Just using the little Diami short liner brush. And I'm sticking this teeny tiny little fruit fork next to the book, because that was pretty much the only thing that would fit there. Bending it into place and then quickly flash curing it down. And then you can paint it silver. Stick that in for full cure, and now I'm going to color the croissant before I stick it on the nail. So I'm going to be using again the Butter 04 to make the croissant color, a nice buttery look. It's kind of funny. I have like celiac, so I can't eat croissants, but like they always smell so good. My husband really likes croissants, so when we go to the bakery, he gets some, and they always smell really delicious. But c'est la vie. But they just look so cheerful, little croissants. We're going to flash cure that color in, and then using the exact same brown that we used for the waffles, we're going to, like, again, I'm off frame. As I said earlier, wouldn't be the last time. You're just going to, like, paint on, like, the lines where the croissant is rolled, and just sort of use a little sponge to sort of add little accents, and then cure that. And then you're going to stick it into the Gin Bee Crazy Top Thick or your actual rhinestone glue if you have some, which I'll be getting some soon. Worry not. And then I'm going to stick that right on the top of the pinky to be a little croissant in a coffee. I'm going to... There's a little bit of overspill. You can always just take a liner brush and clean that up a little bit. And once you're happy, flash cure it into place. So I have this little, on the little utensil mold, there's also these tiny little waffles. So I'm just going to actually be using the same gel as I use for the thumb waffle. And I'm just going to use that to make little waffles. So you just put it in the mold and then cure it. I cure it from both sides, and I'm going to be making 3 of those. You can check it to make sure it looks good, which it does. And then give it a little cure. And then pop it out. And I made 3 of those, and then I cured them again just because I'm a little paranoid person. So once they were all done. So we're going to be working on the index finger, and I want to make... we're going to be working on the middle finger, and I want to make a little plate for the little waffles I just made to sit upon. So I'm just going to be taking some of the white builder gel, and we are going to be forming a little ball with it as best you can. And then you're just going to stick that ball on the top of the middle finger nail. And then using a silicone tool, you're just going to press it out into a circular plate shape. This is actually incredibly easy to do. Pretty much squishing a ball into a plate. Some of the easiest 3D sculpting that I think you can do on a nail, because the ball naturally wants to be a round shape. I'm now taking like a little, like the edge of a little silicone tool to do, you know, some plates have like that little indent in the middle, like where like the edges of the plates are higher than the middle. That's what I'm trying to sort of get at with this. This seems wholly unnecessary because it's going to be completely covered by waffles. So after you fully cure that, I'm now taking the number 6 from the Butter Collection, which is the nice like melony green color. And I'm coloring the plate green to like sort of match the little cup I made. So once you've got everything nicely colored there, stick it under the lamp for another full cure. So now we're going to be sticking our little waffles that we made on top. So yet again, using the Jimpy Crazy Top, which is my current rhinestone glue option. Just, you know how it goes. You just get a little bit of the gel. You're going to put it on the plate and then arrange the 3 little waffles in a like attractive stacked position. You can always move them around until you're happy with how they look. This little mold, which I have linked below, like I really like it. It has a lot of cute little random options on it. Like it's not just breakfast stuff. It has a bunch of stuff on it. So I'm really excited to use it again in the future. Once you're happy with how that looks, give it a cure. So using the same brown from the syrup earlier, we're going to be adding a little bit of maple syrup to these as well. The nice part about this is you do not have to be particularly particular with it. You can just syrup just do be going wherever it wants to. So stick that under the lamp. And finally, we're going to stick one of the strawberries. So grab one of the smaller strawberries that we made a while ago and stick it on the plate where you think it would look nice. And then stick that in for a cure. So now I'm going to take some clear 3D gel because I'm going to make a little jam jar. I'm not like super happy with how this jam jar came out, but it does look pretty cute. So I'm going to let it go. So you want to make a little like cylinder of gel here and then stick it on. I'm sticking it on the index finger on the edge of the nail. And then you're going to just pat it into like a fat little Bon Maman style of jam jar. Round edges are your friend. I found this little like tool that's sort of like the silicone tool that has sculpted was quite useful. And then I'm going to make a little indent near the top because that's going to be the top of the jam jar lid. So you're going to cure that. And then taking the silver metallic gel, we're going to do the metal lid. I'm not like super happy with how this jam jar turned out. I feel like I should have drawn on like I should have put it like a red base to the back of it so that like the red would come through more when we add like the jam color into it. But it is what it is. So you're going to color this lid in the silver gel and then give that a cure to make a little metal lid for the jam jar. Once you're happy with that, fully cure it. And now I'm going to take the jam color, which is the 07, which is one of their like specialty gels from the Butter Collection that literally has like these little flecks in it to make it look like jam. And then I'm pulling that, not fully covering it because there's always little spaces at the top and bottom where like the glass is. So I'm just filling it in to be like, ah, yes, this is a jar of jam. And I'm also going to put some on the bottom of the jar as well. I feel like if I had put like a red base underneath it, it would have probably read as jam a bit more, as you can see. But it does look cute, and that's really all that matters. Because here's the thing, like when you're making your own nails, it's like you're the only one who's ever gonna stare at them right up close that long, right? Most people will just look at them and go, oh my goodness, those are so cute. And they're not gonna notice all of the little imperfections or the things you wish you did better. But it's important to make those little mistakes because then you can learn from them and become better at doing things. Once you're happy with that, stick it under the nail lamp and we're gonna be making some toast. So I'm using the white gel again and just sticking a blob on the nail. And then I'm going to shape it into a vaguely bread slice shaped. So that's sort of like square at the bottom with like a slightly rounded little dome at the top. Like, I feel like most people know what a slice of bread is shaped like. And then once you're happy with this bread shape, stick it into cure. I love making little toast on nails. It looks so cute. We're going to be pulling out this same the 04, the brownie color from the butter collection to make the basic color of the toast. A nice golden brown crust on the toast. And after curing that, we're going to be taking the brown that we used as like the accent colors from previously. And then we're going to do the little crust of the toast in a darker brown. It looks so cute, like a little cute little, like what was that cereal? You know, the ones, they were like little honey, like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's what it looks like. It looks like a little piece of Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. And then finally we're going to take the jam color, the Mayo 07, and we're going to make a little jam smear on it. So it's finally time to top coat because that's pretty much it. So I'm taking the Crazy Top Standard and my crazy brush that I need to fix. Don't judge my brush. I'll fix it. And you're just going to top coat everything. Make sure to go around and get any sort of like sharp edges or corners like well covered so that they don't snag in hair or anything when you're wearing the nails, because that is the worst. I find that the Crazy Top Standard is really nice for this because it self-levels really nicely, but it's a bit on the thicker side for a top coat. So like it doesn't like run super easily. Make sure you get everything covered. Give a nice glossy cover to everything. Had a little cat hair stuck in there. Me fighting with cat hair is a story for the ages, really. Once you get everything nicely covered, stick it under the lamp. I did add like another knife that I forgot to film on the toast nail as well. I just thought I would mention that. So give that a full cure and that's it. These nails are done. They were surprisingly comfortable to wear. I will say the book nail was a little heavy, but besides that, these were very comfy to wear and they're very cute. And you should also check out my friend's books. I've linked them down below. If you like cozy romance, you'll like this. So anyway, thank you for hanging out with me and checking out these nails I made. I'll be back next week with another nail video, and I will see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.